as managers and leaders, we are often distracted. We have so many things going on. We're pulled in a million different directions. And it's easy for us to not be present for the people that we're working with, or even think of it with your family. I've been guilty of it myself, is that I come home and I'm having conversations. All of a sudden the phone beeps and I look at it and I interrupt what I'm doing to go take that call. So how present was I for my family or for people I'm in a meeting with? How do you think they feel? So as leaders, whether you're new at this or you're experienced about this, being present has consequences, both positively and negatively. And that's what we're going to talk about as we get back into a new season of You're in Charge, Now What? So let's dive in and talk about being present. All right, we're back. I'm so excited. We are back. This is episode, I think, 151. So I appreciate it. And for those of you who are new to the channel or first time you're hearing me speak, my name is Glenn Pasch. I'm the CEO of PCG Digital. I'm a speaker, I'm a writer and podcaster. And the goal of this channel was really to help build up the skills of leaders. I found that a lot of people who are promoted or put in charge sometimes don't have the skills necessary to do the job correctly, and they're frankly left on their own to figure it out. So I thought, let's build a channel. Let's have some interviews with some experts focusing on the topics that leaders need, especially new leaders, to achieve the success, both personally and professionally, that they want, but also for you experienced leaders. These are great conversations, great reminders of what we should be doing, because at times we do take it for granted. And that's sort of the topic that I wanted to talk about today, which was this idea of being present. I think all of us, as I said in the intro, we as leaders, managers of people, we're just busy. We have so many things going on, both personally and professionally. People want our opinion. They're working on a project, multiple projects. Everybody's timeline is moving faster and faster. And trust me, as you get older, that's what you feel like. Everything is moving really, really fast. And so I wanted to talk about this idea of being present because I think you accomplish more. It's counterintuitive. There are people that say we can multitask. I personally don't believe you can multitask. I think you might be able to do things very quickly, but in order to do things effectively and quickly, you have to be present in each of these moments. Doing two things at once, I personally, at least for me, it never really seems to achieve the results I want. So I really have to lock down time to be able to be present with either people I'm with or the project or the initiative that I'm working on. So there's three things that I want to talk about around this. One is mindfulness. And I think it's just being aware of what's going on. Now, I know mindfulness sometimes can be seen as, oh, it's one of these hokey words, but mindfulness is really understanding the situation around you, understanding who you're with, understanding how your behavior can impact the situation and impact the other person. I mentioned in the introduction that I was constantly horrible at being present, because I was working and building a business and taking care of a family, but it all blended together, more from the business creeping into family than family creeping into business. But there were times where I would come home and, drop my phone and put everything away and then talk to my wife and catch up with the kids. And then all of a sudden I'd hear the for the phone. And of course, I would go look at it. And maybe it was something that I needed to attend to. And my first reaction was, I need to take this. There were times where I was having conversations with my wife and it would beep. And I said, well, I have to take this call. Until it got to a point where I realized I was disconnecting. And my wife reminded me about that. And she said, do you realize you just interrupted a conversation that we were having that seemed important to both of us? And so I think that happens not just personally, but it happens professionally as well. If you're in a meeting, I see it on Zoom all the time. meetings where you think someone's listening and they're looking at a text or they're waving to someone else. So how present are you to really be engaged with what's going on if you're constantly distracted? And I know it's not easy. I understand that. But how you can accomplish this is to really block out your time. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But commit to that time to put your phone away and focus and have that conversation. The funny thing is that when you are focused and you are mindful of what you're trying to accomplish, you will get more done faster because you're focused on one thing. So being mindful of your presence with someone else, mindful of your presence when you're working on a project, and be respectful of the other person and their time and engage with them. And then when you're done, you can move on. And that piece is finished. And now I can be present in my next moment. So mindfulness, very, very important for leaders. It's not a hokey thing. It's actually setting the example that what you're focusing on is important. The people that you're focusing on is important. The initiative is important because it has your sole focus. Now, the second part I want to talk about is this idea of time blocking, or what I call it as vertical thinking. Because too often, as we all know, we get pulled in a million different directions. We have multiple things going on, and our calendar is trying to tell us we have to be over here, and there's something else going on, and we have to be over here, and we're constantly feeling like we're chasing the day. I say that to my some friends who would call me, who other business agency owners, and they'll say, how are you doing? I said, I feel like I'm chasing the day. I feel like I'm always a half a step behind where I should be. And that's part my own fault because I haven't time blocked. So, okay, Glenn, what is time blocking? Time blocking means what it says. I block out time to have this meeting. I block out this time to work on a project. I block out this time for family, and I commit to it with importance. Now, when I mentioned vertical thinking, the reason I call it vertical thinking is because we try to accomplish so many things, and it becomes this horizontal thinking that we're trying to push all these initiatives forward, and nothing seems to get over the finish line. Nothing we can hang our hat on to say that got accomplished, that's done in a consistent manner. So here's vertical thinking. I want you to think this through. If you got a pen and paper, think about it, or type it in, or come back to this and listen to it again when you do have time to be present for this podcast, and especially this section, and say to yourself, if I only had this role, what would I do to be successful? Better yet, take one project you're working on and say, if this was the only project that I had to work on, what are the steps that I would have to do in order to be successful? I bet you right now, if you took just one project and said, it's the only thing I have to do. I know it sounds crazy, but just say to yourself, this is the only thing I have to do, nothing else. What do I have to do to make this project successful? I'll guarantee you very quickly, you will write out all these steps. Great, write them all out, put it to a side. Take your next project, do the same thing. Take your next project, do the same thing. And you can do it for responsibilities as a parent, as a leader, as your health, whatever it is. If only I had to worry about my health, what would I do to be successful? Ding, 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 ding. The reason you're doing it vertically is then it allows you to see where you are on each of these projects, each of these initiatives. And then you can time block or schedule time to accomplish this task. So what'll happen is your calendar now is blocked from, say, 10 to 10:30, I'm working on step 3 of this project. From 11 to 11:30, I'm working on this. I'm working on that. I'm having a meeting over here for this. And it becomes, everything is scheduled, everything is blocked, and that is your path. Now, the other initiative is when you're posting all of this or plotting all of this out, go on the assumption that no one's going to bother you. I can hear you laughing right now, but I'm telling you, if you think to yourself, no one bothers me, this is the way I want my day to run. This is what I want to get accomplished today. If no one bothered me. Now, I know things are going to interrupt your day, but the key is you have a roadmap for your day now. If everyone left me alone, here's what I would do. Oh, something changed. I need to go get pulled into this meeting, a client issue, right? if you think of the 80-20 rule, 80% of my time, if 80% of my day is I could accomplish what I want, I can deal with the 20% of the chaos. The problem is we think our whole life is the 20% of the chaos instead of the 80% of normal. So plot it out as if 100% of my time is my own, no one's going to bother me, and now I can go through all of these tasks to move all of my initiatives forward. The key is, again, if I get interrupted, I have my roadmap to get back on track. If I got pulled into a meeting, I could come back and say, well, here's this one issue right here. What do I need to accomplish? Where do I want to do it? Do I want to move something else because this is important? Can I move this to tomorrow? But understand now you're in control of your time because you thought vertically on all of your projects. So now I can jump from project to project. The key is during this half an hour, the only thing I'm going to focus on is this one task, this one initiative. Why? Because everything else is scheduled. I don't have to keep it all in my head. So that is sort of time chunking. There's tons of different tools out there. I've tried Todoist. I've tried different types of task management systems, but ultimately I like my Remarkable Pad. That's not a plug for Remarkable, but I do like it, and my calendar. And I treat all of those initiatives, working on the podcast, writing an article, having a meeting, as if it's the most important thing. My work, the projects I'm working on, are as important as a meeting with a client in my mind, because I have to get this done. So if you treat all of those little meetings with you and your project with that importance, I think you'll get more done. You'll be able to be more present. And more importantly, you'll feel that I'm in control of my day. Now, lastly, I want you to think about this idea of active listening. That also helps with being present. Really focus, really listen as if your life depended on it. Now, here's the thing. When we listen, but we also can see someone, we stop listening a little bit because we can see a lot of what our understanding of what's going on in front of us is part of from visual. So we don't have to listen. We're getting a gist of it by the person's expression, how they're sitting, how they're talking. But if I said to you, shut your eyes and now listen, do you see how you'd have to focus? It's like talking on a phone or listening on a phone. When I can see you, I can get some things. My hearing backs off a little bit. But if I asked you in a meeting to shut your eyes and now tell me what went on in that meeting, you would have to actively listen. You would have to take notes. You would ask people to slow down. You would ask people to repeat themselves, or your conversation would see. So what I'm hearing is this. Because how many times have you misunderstood someone, walked away from a meeting with the wrong information, just had your spouse, your partner, anyone that you're working with go, you're not listening to me. What did I say? And you go, I'm sorry, because you got distracted, because visually you think that's enough. I'll see if it's important. So active listening is so critical for you as a leader. But again, if we wrap all of this up, as we wind this down, if I'm mindful of this conversation, if I've dedicated the time and time blocked so that this meeting can be done in a way that nothing's going to distract me because I have everything else and I can really focus on what we're doing here, then the active listening skills allows me to accomplish even more. So I hope you found that useful. Again, this idea of being present, leaders, we cannot be distracted. Everyone is looking to us to sense, are we in control? Are we moving in the right direction? They're counting on you to be that presence that they can rely on. So you being present for them, you having things under control, you having things mapped out so that you can be actively engaged with them, actively listening to them and guiding them. It just sets a great example. And more importantly, you feel in control of your day, your team feels you're in control of the day, and we can achieve the success that we're looking for. So again, I'm excited. Thanks so much for following and being part of this. Please, all I ask is that if you found value today, please share this out. I'm sure there's someone in your network that could use this information. As always, the fact that you're here and listening There's so many places you can listen to podcasts and consume content, but you're staying here listening to this. It means the world to me. I'm so excited for our guests coming up. The next 4 or 5 episodes are just great. We're going to focus on this idea of change. The next episode is going to be with Michael Cirillo, a dear friend. He's going to be talking about personal growth, his personal journey to become the leader that he is. And then we're going to be talking with others, Katie Mayers, who is the author of the new book, Custom Her Experience, talking about how to market to women, as well as others who have left to start their own business. How is that change happening? Or going from a small company to a large, or large to a small, all of these changes. And they're going to give you some tactical strategies to help you become the leader you want, because that's the goal of this channel, to provide you with those strategies, these conversations, so that you can become the leader you want to be and achieve the success that you have. So again, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of You're in Charge. Now what?